Good morning, everybody. Data Pioneer here with the Linux Unix Tech Channel, and it is November the 8th, 2021, a Monday. Hope everybody's doing fine out there and surviving the pandemic. Coming back after quite a bit of hiatus here. Been doing some other things, working on some other projects, and finally decided to get back into it and take a look at a distro of Linux that I have not seen before. It's kind of escaped my radar here. It's called Solus Linux, and I'm up on distrowatch.com right now, taking a look at it, and I've already got installed in a virtual machine. I'll talk about that in a moment, but let's take a look at Solus. Solus is, of course, a Linux distro. It's based on independent, which means that it's not based primarily on or directly from either Debian, Ubuntu, or Arch, or one of the other distros. It is an independent, built from scratch distribution. Its origin is from Ireland, and it is an x86-64 architecture, so it does come in the 64-bit version, of course. It has a special desktop designed for this package itself, and it's called Budgie, and it is GNOME-based, but I'm going to be running the KDE Plasma version. It does come in GNOME, and the KDE Plasma, and it does come in Mate as well, but I'm going to take a look at the KDE Plasma version, which is what I have installed from the download, and I'll show you the website here in a moment. It's an active distribution, and its popularity right now on DistroWatch is 15, with about 594 hits per day, so not bad. Let me read the blurb here on the website at DistroWatch. It says Solus is a Linux distribution built from scratch, and it uses a forked version of the PySci package manager maintained as EOPKG within Solus, and a custom desktop environment called Budgie, developed in-house. The Budgie desktop, which can be set to emulate the look and feel of the GNOME 2 desktop, is tightly integrated with the GNOME stack. The distribution is available for 64-bit computers only, so this is not available in the 32-bit version. So if you have older hardware that only has the 32-bit processor, you're not going to be able to run it. So I've got it fired up in a virtual machine, and let's go out to the website for the homepage at getsol.us, and here it is. Pretty nice website, and talks a little bit about Solus and what it's available for, what it can do, and what it ships with. For instance, Mozilla Firefox. Got your typical player here, Rhythmbox, and it comes with the Thunderbird as well. However, let's take a look at the download links. And so if I come up here, there's a blog, there's a forum, there's a help center. You can get involved with Solus, obviously, and if you click on the About link, it'll take you out to more information about Solus. So let's look at the download, and here it is. So you do have the Solus Budgie. The download here is the Budgie version. You've got the Solus GNOME. You have the Solus Mate and the Solus Plasma. So the KDE Plasma is what I'm going to be premiering here today for you and taking a look at. Let's look at the system requirements. The system requirements show a blank DVD or 2+ gigabyte USB drive. I used a 32 gigabyte USB drive, used USB Imager to image this onto a stick, and installed it on bare metal as well, and it works really well on my old laptop that is a 64-bit processor, but it runs really well. Minimum requirements here are 10 gigs of disk space being available, 4 gigs of RAM, and I'm going to be testing this out on 6 gigs of RAM today on the virtual machine. But to get the optimal experience, you'll need at least 4 gigs. 2 gigs won't quite make it. be a little slow for you. 64-bit processor, x86-64, and there is a donate to your to our collective here. So if you want to buy them a cup of coffee or donate to the website, to the project for Solus, to the developers, that would be good. I'm sure they would appreciate it. All right, so let's go out to VirtualBox, and I have it already fired up here. It's in 6 gigs of RAM. I think I gave it 50 gigs of hard drive space, if I'm not mistaken. And so let's go ahead and log in. I'm not going to show you the install of this because it's a pretty plain Jane installer. I think it uses the Calamares installer, as a matter of fact. Everybody knows how to install a distro in VirtualBox or in a virtual machine, so I'm not going to go through that. All right, so let's go ahead and get this fired up. So let me put in the password. And here we go. So we'll bring up the desktop here and take a look at it. And here it is. All right, so I've got a wired connection already. I'm connected wired. I've got a bridge connection for my network adapter. And so let's take a look at what's available here on the bottom. I've got some updates available here, so I'm going to go ahead and close that for now. All right, so you've got the Start menu, Application menu, and the menu that you have is the typical menu, which I'm not quite sure what it's calling it. Let me right-click and just do a Show Alternatives. And I guess it's calling it just the Application menu, but you do have the Application Launcher, and you do have the Application Dashboard. But the application menu that we're looking at right now is just simply called Application Menu. So let's go ahead and click on that. So here are your selections, and I'll get into that in a moment. All right, but if you were to right-click and Show Alternatives, and let's go up to the Application Launcher and switch. And you can see we'd have another type of launcher. I actually prefer this one over the first one, because it expands out the options that you have available here on the left, and you have a search window clearly visible at the top, and then you've down at the bottom you have your applications that you can click on, your places. You've got in various modes here: sleep, hibernate, restart, and shut down. All right, and let's take a look at the next one, which is the Application Dashboard, and I'm sure everybody's familiar with that as well. And if you click on that, you get the dashboard itself, and you can just start typing here to see if anything is available, and HTOP is not, so we'd have to install that. But you got recent applications and all applications, your development, your graphics, etc., etc. All right, so let's go back to the original. Show Alternatives and Application Menu, switch. And okay, so there we have it. All right, so let's go across. You've got your Software Center. So if I click on that button there, this is kind of neat because Solus offers up a Software Center, which is a little bit different than the typical Software Center, you know, that you might see in other distros of Linux like Varin or MX or Ubuntu, and has it categorized a little bit differently. For instance, you've got your desktop software and theming, you've got your gaming on Solus, you've got multimedia and graphics, you've got internet software, office software, programming languages and tools, security software, and system software. So let's take a look at desktop software and theming. And so here you've got the KDE desktop, you've got the GNOME documentation tools, etc., etc., the Budgie desktop. So you've got different, themes that you can apply here. So let's go back and click it again. Okay, let's go back. All right, and so multimedia and graphics. What's available there? You've got a graphics category. You've got an audio software category, video, general multimedia software, streaming, multimedia codecs, and multimedia libraries. Under graphics here, you've got a whole plethora of things. Darktable, you've got Eye of GNOME, Flameshot, which I like. You haven't tried FlameShot. That's a screenshot capturing utility, and it's great. All right, does the job and gets out of your way. All right, so let's go back. Go back one more, and let's take a look at gaming on Solus. You've got arcade games, you've got puzzle games. If you're a gamer, this is your distribution here. Strategy games, card games, action games, platformer games, role-playing, main games collection, massive multiplayer games. I'm not a gamer, so I'm not really interested in a lot of this. But if you are, obviously, you've got all day long you can get in here and pull up games and play to your heart's content. All right, so let's go back out and let's take a look at multimedia. Well, let's see, internet software, networking utilities, networking base, news and RSS readers, instant messaging, remote management software, web applications. You've got IRC clients, email clients, web browsers. This is what I like about Solus. I use the Brave web browser predominantly in any distro of Linux that I run, and Brave is available, so I could install Brave directly from here. I don't have to go out to the Brave website and download that. I do have Brave installed, but I am on the out-of-the-box experience here in Solus right now, and I'll pull up the other one later and show you how I've got it set up. But you've got Firefox, Falcon, you've got Lynx, you've got Opera, you've got Vivaldi, so you've got all of them here, okay? You even have the W3M browser as well. All right, so let's see, for email clients, let's see what they have available. One of the interesting things I noticed was it does have Alpine, it has Claws Mail, Evolution Mail for those diehard old guard mail users in Linux, and you've got Kmail, MailSpring. I use MailSpring. I've got a professional account in MailSpring. I really love it because I can pull in all of my accounts into one interface, and it's a modern-looking, sleek design. Unlike Thunderbird, which is okay, but MailSpring, I believe, tops it. And then you've got Proton Mail Bridge as well. So I've got a Proton Mail account, and so I have the Proton Mail Bridge installed in Farron OS, and so here it is in Solus as well. So that's great news. You've got download managers. So you've got Deluge, you've got OwnCloud, Qubit Torrent. There is also SyncThing. If you've not used SyncThing, it's a great little application for syncing your various, online storage and local storage. Okay, and let's go back out. Let's go back out again. Let's go to Office software, and you can see that for the Office software, it's probably LibreOffice, if I have to guess. And although I don't see, maybe it's further on down. LibreOffice, I'm sure, is available here. And yeah, here we go. So LibreOffice is available. I believe that's the default installation Office package or suite here in Solus. We'll take a look at that in a moment. But you've got a whole host of others that you can choose from, including Scribus, and you've got, let's see, you've got Simple Scan for your scanner. All right. And let's see what text editors are available. Emacs, Genie, Ghostwriter. Let's see here. Got LeafPad. I use LeafPad all the time. If you haven't tried LeafPad, give it a try. You'll thank me later. And we have, let's see, Text Studio and TextWorks. All right, so let's go back. And we got financial software. We've got scientific software, mathematics-oriented software. Let's see what we have available there. Maximo. Oh, Maximo's there. Wow. I did not realize that Maximo was there, so that's good. Okay, so let's go back and back again. And now let's take a look at security software. So we've got cryptographic utilities, security applications, security-oriented libraries. If we go back, we've got, let's see, we've got system software here, kernel drivers, boot utilities, base development tools, system utilities, system base, a whole host of things down through here, kernel images, various versions, database, clients, and servers. Let's take a look at that. MariaDB, dbeaver. I use dbeaver all the time. It's a universal database manager for SQL-based or RDBMS databases. I'm working with Neo4j right now, which is a graph database. So I'm not that interested in RDBMS anymore. All right, and so it looks like that's the whole slew that we have. And then we just touched the surface in there. I didn't go through every one of them. Let's close that. All right, and so now with the Software Center out of the way, we've got Dolphin File Manager. And Dolphin is a great file manager if you haven't used it. I think everybody probably has used Dolphin at one point or another. I use PCManFM, also use files. I prefer PCManFM, but I will use Dolphin. I even use Thunar from time to time. But Dolphin is a great one for GNOME-based systems for desktop environment. All right, so I do have some SMB CIFS shares out on my personal cloud that I've developed in Portainer and Open Media Vault. So let's click on Network and see if they're there. And here it is, Shared Folders, SMB. And so let me click on that and see if it brings it up here. Yeah, here we go. Raspberry Pi, SMB CIFS. Let's click on that. And sure enough, here's my Linux store. And so if I click on that, it does require me to log in. And click OK, and there we go. All right, so if I bring that up to full screen, here we are. So I've got my access to my Open Media Vault SMB CIFS share called Linux Store, and this gets backed up every night at 4 a.m. And I believe I have a ton of stuff on it. All right, and so that's great. So that means that Solus is good for accessing your network-based storage, okay, for your NAS, network attached storage. Okay, so let's see, we've got Firefox web browser, so let's go ahead and open that up, see what version we have. By default, I don't have Brave installed here yet, but if I open this up to full screen, and then let's go up to Help and About Firefox. We're running 89.0.2 64-bit, which is a fairly recent version. I think the latest version is 93, however, so this is 89. So it is lagging a little bit behind, but this is the latest version of Solus that I installed, downloaded from the web. And so they do have some, this isn't really outdated, but it's just not the latest and greatest, cutting edge. But then Solus is not a rolling release distro either. And so you're going to be, this is stable. So you're going to get stable versions of applications. All right, so let's go ahead and close that. And let's see if I can get out to my website. All right, and see if we can pull up the greatest website in the world here, which is Data Pioneer Network. I call it DP Network. It's self-hosted. I do not use a company to do this. Click OK, and so here we are. And so this is my DP Network website, and it's got several hundred articles in my blog right now. And so if I click on blog, I show you my latest article I just completed. Then we'll get back to the distribution here. It's called HTOP, Human Readable Top Processes Monitoring in Linux. Okay, so this is Firefox web browser pulling up my website just fine. We go ahead and close Close the tabs. All right, so we're back to the home page now. I mean, the home page, the help desktop. What I like about this too is you'll notice there's some transparency going on here in the panel, okay, at the bottom, which, by the way, if you right click and configure icons only or edit the panel, you can bring this up. You can reduce the size here or increase the size. If I reduce it down, it makes that smaller, and if I bring it up, it makes it larger. Okay, and you got more options as well. You can add widgets. So for instance, if I wanted to add a clock, which I usually do, my analog clock, I can bring that out and bring that up to there. And let me make that a little bit smaller. So let's bring that down. Let's see if I can make that smaller here. Well, having a little trouble making that smaller. That's okay. Have to play with it a little bit. And if I do configuration, I can also show the second hand. So we've got now a second hand, sweep second hand here. And so I've got a clock out on the desktop. I have my analog clock, which is great. And I usually bring up a weather app as well. So if I do weather and bring that down here to the taskbar. And let's close the widgets out now. And let me click on that. And let's do configure weather report. And let's see here. If I do weather station appearance, units, keyboard, choose. I'm going to choose the NOAA's National Weather Service. I'm going to enter a location, which is my hometown, Asheville, North Carolina. And that is NOAA. And select it. Let's update every 30 minutes is fine. Let's click OK and apply and OK. And so now if I click that, there's my weather. So I've got weather for my local area here at Asheville, which is on the western North Carolina, on the East Coast, in the New York time zone. And so it shows the weather for the today's date, which is the 8th of November, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. Okay, so very nice, very nice. All right, and so let's take a look at what we have here. We've got, we've already looked at a lot of these in the Software Center, but out of the box, you've got your development, which is user feedback console, graphics, GwenView, LibreOffice Draw. So the LibreOffice suite is the default. Ocular, which is the PDF viewer. Internet, we have Firefox, KDE Connect, KDE Connect SMS. Conversation, we've got Open on Connected Device with KDE Connect and Thunderbird. For multimedia, we've got Elisa, never used Elisa. MPV Media Player, SMP Player, or SM Player. Office, we've got the full Office suite, including Ocular here. We've got for settings, hardware drivers, iBus preferences, print settings, and let's take a look and see if it picked up my printer. It should have. I've got an HP printer, and it did. HP Desktop 2600 series, so it found my printer just fine. All right, and so let's go back and Software Center. We've got system settings. All right, and then for under system we have Dolphin. Info Center. So if I go to the Info Center, take a look at this, let's see what information it pops up for us. It says Solus version 4.3 is what we're running. And I'm running the KDE Plasma version 5.22.2 desktop environment with a Frameworks version of 5.83.0. I've got a Qt version 5.15.3, and I've got a kernel version 5.13.1-187 current 64-bit. So that's a pretty recent version of the kernel. For graphics platform, I've got X11 is what I'm using right now. I'm not using the latest version of the graphics, but X11 is what I usually go with and prefer. All right, and so processor, we've got this is the stuff that with the video with VirtualBox, so I'm not going to go through all of that. So let's go ahead and close that. And let's come back out to, I believe we were on Utilities. We've got Arc for Archiver, Emoji Selector. We've got Kate, it's a text editor, KCalc calculator, K-Character Select, and Spectacle, which is I believe Spectacle is another screenshot capturing utility. And then for power sessions, you can lock the desktop, you can log out, switch user, sleep, hibernate, restart, or shut down. If we come across here, we've got Get Plasma Browser Integration. We've got the audio muted, so let me go ahead and unmute that right now. And could test that out if I want to. Most recent device here, we've got networks. I'm on a wired connection, so I'm not going to bring that up. And then I've got minimize all windows. Over here we've got our typical calendar. Out of the box, we've got November. This is November 8th, which is a Monday. And of course we can move into subsequent months. And go back to November. Okay. And then we've got the time here, 9:37 a.m., which is replicated here in my analog clock out on the desktop. Okay, I like to have the analog clock not quite so large. I just need to make that smaller, and for some reason I've had trouble getting that to reduce. There we go. Okay, so just had to give it time. All right, so that's more of the size that I like or prefer to have. All right, so if I go up into, let's do this. Console should be the terminal. And it is, because we're running KDE Plasma. And of course I don't want to keep that. So let's do settings. Let's configure console. And I want to add a profile. So let's add a new profile here. Call it Data Pioneer. We'll use the bin bash command here and initial directory home Data Pioneer. 110 columns, let's bump that up to 120. Rows, let's bump that up to 40 because I'm running a 1920 by 1080 screen here. Okay, 40. For appearance, let's come down there. Let's run this in a solarized theme. And for font, let's go here and click choose, and let's bump that up to 15 will be okay, I guess. Let's click OK. Let's click apply and OK. Let's click Data Pioneer and set as default, and let's close it, and then let's reopen console. This time when I bring it up, I'll add it to favorites. All right, so I can right click here and add to favorites, so it'll be up on my favorites list now. And so let's bring it up, and I need to bring it full screen, and there we go. All right, so we're at and if I close it now and then bring it up one more time, it should be full screen, I believe. Yeah. All right, so good to go. All right, so this is the Solus, and Solus uses the EO package management system, which is PySci management, and so rather than Aptitude or DNF or Pacman, you're going to use EO package. So I'm going to go ahead, and the first thing I would normally do is update the system. And with Solus, you don't use a similar command like you do in Ubuntu. You do not do sudo apt update, or in this case sudo EO package update. If you do that, you'll error out. There'll be an error presented on the screen as a standard error. What you want to do is use the upgrade command. But I'm going to go ahead and I'll go ahead and run it, and it's probably going to take a while, and I'll come back after it's completed. So let's do a sudo EO pkg upgrade to upgrade the packages on this system. All right, and password. And here we go. So it's updating the repositories, and it should go out and see if there are any available updates. There should be several, so we'll check that out. Oh yeah, plenty. All right, do you want to go ahead and do this? Yes, I do. All right, and so it's going to do its thing here, updating the packages in Solus, and this is going to take a while, so I'm going to let this run and I'll be back. Okay, it's completed. It took about 10 minutes to update 385 packages for Solus, and that's pretty typical for distributions to take that long, especially with that many packages. So not bad, and I have a fairly fast system, so performance-wise, I think Solus is doing really well in the update category here. Anyway, so let's clear the screen, clean up the terminal. Let me do an install of HTOP, and then I'll restart the system, and we'll take a look and see how light or heavy it is for memory usage. And so let's do a sudo install eopkg install HTOP, and put in my password, and HTOP is installed. And so let's do clear the screen, and let's do a reboot. We'll reboot the system, and then when it comes up, we'll get in and run HTOP right away. See what we have as far as memory usage goes. I'm expecting it to be a little heavier because it's a KDE Plasma desktop environment. All right, let me go and log in. And we'll take a look at this. Comes up fairly fast. I like it. It's very responsive. And so let's go and get into the terminal, and let's run HTOP. And here we go. So right now, for HTOP, it's not really telling me. Let's see, memory. I can't read the numbers over here. Interesting. And that's probably because I have the solarized setup. But let's do this. Get out of it, and let's do free, and take a look at it that way. So here, memory-wise, we've got a total of 608.5892. We've used 589,752. So we've got 490 or 4.998636 kilobytes free. All right, so we're not using any swap. So we've only used like about 589 megabytes out of 6 gigs. Okay, so that's not bad for Solus running a KDE Plasma desktop. Not bad at all. Let's take a look at the structure here of the disk free. And it looks like I've got 18% of the available hard drive space. Looks like I've got 46 gigs. I gave it 50, so it's being used. Some of it's being used, of course, with the operating system. 7.7 gigs with 36 gigs available, so 18% utilized. It does have devtempfs and tempfs as well. All right, and so let's run a uname -a and take a look at that. So it's Linux Solus VM 5.14.16-204 current. So it did upgrade the kernel as well during the upgrade process. So that's very good. Okay, so let's exit out of that. And all right, so this is Solus Linux, independent distro of Linux from Ireland. This has been a product review, not so much a setup, but a system product review of SolusOS. And this has been Data Pioneer. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.